Welcome back to Felix the Cat. Today we're reading Chapter 5. Getting their goat. Today was a good day for Felix the Cat. Why it was good, he wasn't really sure. But as he walked down the lane and over the hill, he decided there was nothing like the present.
After all,
Felix told himself,
we ought to be thankful for living in the present age. There are so many wonderful inventions.
Felix went on to himself.
Take the airplane and the electric icebox. That's swell because it keeps milk nice and cold. I like milk.
Then Felix saw a bicycle and a little boy riding it.
The bikes are great for kids too,
He said.
That's a cute kid. I'd like to be his pet. I bet he'd know how to treat a cat right.
The little boy went along, and Felix watched him for a while. Then he had an idea.
I'll follow him. Maybe he'll adopt me. Wouldn't that be swell?
The boy was evidently just learning to ride his bike, because he couldn't go very fast. Felix ran along easily.
Gee, I hope he notices me,
Felix thought.
but he keeps his eye on the road most of the time. He's a careful driver.
The little boy went along by the hedge. He didn't notice what was happening on the other side of the hedge. It was too bad he didn't. Two roughnecks were having fun with a slingshot and a box of tacks. The bigger kid held the slingshot, and his little brother passed him the tacks to load it. "Watch me puncture his tires through that hedge with these tacks," said the big kid, taking careful aim at the bike. Felix was marching along beside the bike, dreaming happy dreams of being adopted, when all at once there was a loud noise. The tack hit the tire. Then, out came the air. The tire went flat. "Shucks," said the little boy. "I got a blowout. Now I gotta get off and get this fixed." There was no more bike riding now,
Funny thing, that blowout.
thought Felix.
There's more to this than meets the eye.
"Gosh," mourned the boy. "How will I ever fix this? I gotta have a patch." Felix watched.
Funny thing,
He said again.
poor kid. I'll try and find him a patch.
Felix walked along, thinking deeply.
First, I gotta find a patch. Then I gotta look into this blowout business. It looks awfully fishy to me, and I don't mean never mind.
Soon he came to the place where the roughneck kids were hiding behind the hedge,
Oh-ho!
said Felix cautiously.
What's this?
He hid back of the tree and listened. "Give me more tacks," the big kid commanded, "and tell me when you see the next bike coming along."
So, that's it.
Felix nodded his head thoughtfully.
That's the reason of the sudden blowout of the kid's bike. These guys think it's Halloween, and every day.
Felix scratched his head and scratched his ears and finally scratched his nose. Then he had the brightest idea. Quiet as could be, he crept out from behind the tree and, when he was a safe distance, he ran with all his might and main.
I'll fix him,
Felix said to himself with deep meaning.
I'll put a stop to that bully. He'll be plenty sorry he picked on little kids' bikes when I get through.
Felix was gone quite some time. Although he hurried as fast as he possibly could, at last he was back. This time he was not walking, he was riding. And it looked for all the world as though his bike was one of the best in the world. Steering close to the hedge, Felix came to the spot where the roughneck kids were waiting.
Now, just let him tackle this bike. Hee-hee!
Felix chuckled.
And see what happens.
The roughneck kids were beginning to believe their fun was over. No bikes had appeared for some time. Then they saw Felix coming, along with his hands on the handlebars. Smiled Felix to himself.
Here comes a bike,
Shouted the smaller kid. I saw it already, said the bigger one. Wait till you hear that tire pop. He put a tack in the slingshot, took a good aim, and let it go. The tack shot out of the slingshot and through the hedge, but there wasn't any blowout. Instead, a very angry goat stuck his head over the hedge. He hadn't minded giving Felix a ride, but he did object to having tacks shot into his legs. It's a goat, shouted the big kid. Run! He's mad.
You better run.
Gloated Felix.
He gets furious when he's mad.
Felix was right. The goat was furious. In a moment, he leaped over the hedge and began to chase the roughneck kids. They dropped their slingshot and the box of tacks and ran for their lives. Nix, nix, bawled the big kid. We won't do it again. Snorted the goat and kept right after them. Felix ran along happily.
I guess this'll cure him, he said. Now I'll go help the little kid fix his flat.
And that's the end of Chapter 5. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you'll come back next time for Chapter 6 as we read A Lather Jacket. What in the world is a lather jacket? We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.